Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, it's Jesse with the Common Nerd, bringing you pop culture and all things dirty through a common sense lens. And honestly, it's one of them situations, anybody that's been paying attention and has honestly wanted to be an honest broker about things knows that Marvel's box offices have really been in the toilet lately. Things aren't going very well. I think there's a lot of Marvel burnout with the fans, and the fans just really aren't trusting the company to give them good quality stuff that's worth them spending $20 or $30 at the theaters to be able to go and actually see. I mean, we saw that obviously with the big spike on last Tuesday from the Thunderbolts, aka The New Avengers, because it was discount ticket day, right? You could go see the movie for $5, so they had an incredible day. Well, needless to say, boys and girls, the second weekend has officially come in, and at the end of the day, whether you like the movie or not, because I actually have heard some pretty good things about the movie, at the end of the day, this movie started off so very poorly, boys and girls, that there is simply no way it is ever going to crawl to a profit. And even with good word of mouth, after the second weekend, boys and girls, needless to say, $33 million for a second weekend box office is not what you need to get to in order to make a profit on a movie, since it's your only second weekend in the domestic box office. Needless to say, with supposedly a $180 million budget, which of course we all know is actually way higher than that, because after all the times we found out about their actual reporting in the tax documents over the years, but let's just say the $180 million is actually real. Needless to say, this movie needed to make somewhere between $400 and $500 million to actually make a profit at the box office, and with these kind of numbers and with this continued kind of tracking going on, it's simply not going to happen. Thunderbolts, aka The New Avengers, is going to end up being a disastrous dumpster fire for Marvel, and at the end of the day, it's all Kevin Feige and Bob Iger's fault, boys and girls, because they are the ones that made these creative decisions. They're the ones that hired these writers and all of these people that made the decisions to go with these storylines and go in a direction that the fans have obviously not had any interest in for quite a long time. And the Thunderbolts is just the latest victim of that exact same Marvel burnout that people like Kevin Feige have absolutely caused. So we're going to check out this article from cosmicbook.news, getting all of the juicy details, and of course check out the numbers on Thunderbolts as well. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe or follow if you have not already, boys and girls, because we just crossed 1,900. We're sailing our way towards 2K, and I could not do that without every single one of you. Also, leave us a comment in the section down below. Did you go see Thunderbolts? Did you actually enjoy the movie? Or are you another one of the many fans that have been burned by Marvel so many times that you had no desire to go out there and spend your money at the theaters on it, and you're just going to wait for it to come onto streaming or Disney Plus, which it obviously will, probably within about 30 to 45 days. Let us know what you think about all that in the comment section down below. If you'd like to support the channel, please check out the links in the description down below. Consider becoming a member, where we do member streams, and you'll get your name at the end credits of every single one of our videos and live streams. So think about all of that down below as well. All right, from cosmicbook.news and our dear sweet Matt McGloin. Thunderbolts New Avengers underperforms in second weekend box office of just $33 million. Dun, dun, dun. Needless to say, that's not good, and it also came in under the Hollywood Trade magazine's expectations. You know that legacy media we talk about? Yeah, it came in under that. Marvel's Thunderbolts movies, rebranded to The New Avengers, continues bombing at the box office as it underperforms in its second weekend. Well, actually, if you listen to me, it came in right where I said it would. Shout out to Matt, who is a much more honest broker than 99.9% of the legacy media organizations out there, which is why we go check out Cosmic Book News. Follow them on Twitter, follow them on their website. You're going to get great information from Matt over here. Following the trades estimating a $35 million makes for a better headline, Thunderbolts New Avengers is coming in at $33.1 million for a weekend to a 55.5% drop from its opening weekend of $74.3 million. That gives it the sixth worst second weekend in the MCU, all of which have come post-Endgame. And I know there's plenty of fans out there. I hear the comments. I see them in my live streams. There's plenty of people who have not watched a single Marvel movie since Endgame, simply because there's nothing that really piques their interest. And once they hear the reports from all of the rest of the, once the word of mouth gets around about how these movies were pointless and jangled and messed up and didn't make any sense whatsoever, and then of course the CGI being an abomination because they rush this stuff and they have no idea whatsoever how to actually get a movie planned out from the beginning. No, they do everything on the fly, just like what we hear they're doing with Avengers Doomsday right now. This just doesn't work out. But the numbers are what actually matters, right? Because 2 plus 2 still equals 4. God is still on his throne in heaven, and the Thunderbolts is simply going to end up losing money. Because as you can see over here, Thunderbolts 2020 1955 got a worldwide box office of $272 million, boys and girls. Nowhere close near to the $400 to $500 million this movie actually needs to make to end up making a profit. Now, we like to talk about the little cone of happiness. Now, obviously, it dipped well below that in the beginning. Now it's starting to eke back up. But once again, the cone of happiness is based on where they start. And when you start off with a $74 million opening weekend, you're not going to end up making a profit on one of these movies because at best, you're going to get a 50% drop off weekend over weekend. And that's exactly what the Thunderbolts had, a little bit higher than that. So slightly more of a drop off than a 50%, but a 50% is incredible. It's almost unheard of to have that happen. Most movies drop anywhere from 60 to 70%. So needless to say, Thunderbolts did have a good hold, but that doesn't matter when you start off with a $74 million opening weekend because like Matt said, 33.1 million is where it came in. That's a 55% drop, which doesn't sound that bad. And at $7,644 per theater, it did a whole lot better than Disney's Snow White over the weekend, but needless to say, that doesn't work. 33 million is not a significant enough jump, and it's still a 55% drop. This movie just started out way too low for it to ever make a profit. And that's because of the executive decisions that have been made by people like Kevin Feige and Bob Iger and the path they decided to take down their storytelling. So back to Matt. He said, I said it looked like a $32 million weekend because it was performing similar to Shang-Chi, which had a higher Friday and a $34.7 million second weekend gross. He wasn't too far off. Not at all. And it's one of them situations where, once again, Shang-Chi started out stronger. And while that 55% drop is decent, like we said, truth be told, it doesn't really matter if the Thunderbolts open that low. It'd be a different story if the Thunderbolts opened in the 100 millions, which obviously it did not. It came in way worse than that. The second weekend also comes in better than Captain America Brave New World's $28.1 million, but Cap 4 opened a lot higher. As of 10 days, Cap 4 was at $141.1 million domestically, while Thunderbolts was at $128.4 million. And Captain America 4 is the movie that Bob Iger already admitted in their Disney earnings call last week was a flop. It lost them money. It erased all of the profits they've made in quarter one. That and Snow White erased all the profits they've made in quarter one in quarter two. This is doing worse than what Disney has already admitted lost them money, boys and girls. Captain 4 finished with $415 million, which was still a loss admitted by Disney. It's looking like Thunderbolts will finish similarly. The big budgets, however, make those worldwide box offices a bust, which Disney just confirmed for Cap 4 in a recent investors. Speaking of Disney, they also gave Snow White a wider release. We talked about that. Obviously, that means moms and daughters aren't showing up for Thunderbolts, which is no surprise, and they also didn't show up for the Marvels, obviously. And that was the funny part about that. They were like, yeah, we're going to make a women power super movie, and we're going to bring in all this female audience, and we're going to turn Marvel into a girls brand just like we did with Star Wars. And yeah, it worked out the exact same way. More men went and saw the Marvels than women, and the movie still flopped. It was the worst flop in the MCU history. It cost them hundreds of millions of dollars, boys and girls. So yeah, needless to say, this pathway isn't working in any way, shape, or form. And of course, they tried the rebrand, trying to go, yeah, they're now the new Avengers, which, like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, it was probably a shock. It was probably a knee-jerk reaction to that opening weekend. No. In order to have all of that stuff printed up, in order to have all of this stuff ready to go for literally the Monday afterwards, no, this was all planned right from the beginning. They planned on calling these guys the New Avengers. They even granted them the name at the end of the movie in the theater. So this was something that was always going to happen. But these are the numbers. They're just not good. It's just not good at all. And like I said, a 55% drop, that's incredible. That's great. But at the end of the day, when you start with such a low opening weekend, there's no way, and I said this from the very beginning, There is no way this movie was ever going to make a profit. And I'm not holding this against even necessarily the directors and the writers, and certainly not any of the cast. They're just showing up to do their job. And honestly, like I said, I heard the movie was pretty good, and word of mouth is showing that with only a 55% drop. If it would have been a 60 or 70 or an 80% drop, which we have seen in the past, that means the movie is absolutely horrible. But like I said, the general audience seems to actually enjoy it for the most part. They say it's the best slop of all the slop that Disney Marvel has put out over the last few years, and that doesn't surprise me. The trailers looked like a lot of fun, but at the end of the day, Marvel burnout is real. Kevin Feige, and with the choices he's made and the people he's hired to destroy some of the most beloved IPs in the American and Western culture's history, has led to this exact same thing. They don't know how to treat their characters. They have no idea how to make a movie from beginning to end. They're literally shooting things on the fly when scripts aren't even done yet. And the fans recognize that. And they don't trust you anymore, Marvel. And that's why Thunderbolts is going to fail and flop. Because Marvel burnout is real. Kevin Feige, you did it to yourself. And now you're getting exactly what you deserve. Thunderbolts will flop. The only question is, boys and girls, exactly how much money is Disney Marvel going to lose on this movie? And after all, Kevin Feige, you danced with the devil, and now you've gotten burned.